Let's begin with somebody who is never shy to share her opinion. CNN commentator and host of the On and Pivot podcasts, Kara Swisher, is here with us. Good to see you, Kara. I, you
Good to
know,
see you, Laura.
color me skeptical, but the
Yeah.
president says that his quote, this will backfire on Democrats. Why are you so convinced that it's actually going to be the other way around?
I don't think it's gonna be the other way around or one way at all. I just don't think either he's seen the evidence and knows things and therefore probably should have released it and prosecuted these people, or he just doesn't know what he's talking about and he's trying to use it as a political cudgel. I mean, one of the things that's hard here is that a lot of these files have not been seen by everybody, and
Right.
they may come out redacted, right? That's the great worry. The other worry is, of course, that they will get rid of them in some fashion, like you're in some movie, where they destroy them. I think one of the things that I pay a lot of attention to is evidence, and also the kind of enthusiasm his base has for this. And I don't think they particularly want to get Democrats. I think I mean, they certainly had focused on Bill Clinton for a
Hmm.
while, but they do want to just get someone, right? They have these ideas, whether it's QAnon or the very far, the more conspiracy minded MAGA people. They want to stop this thing, and they have had an obsession with it, which means it could more come to bite him than anybody else. And I think it has already. And we'll see how they conduct themselves going forward. But this has not been a positive for President Trump.
Well, when you say someone, I mean, my impression overwhelmingly when people have
Mhm.
been invested in getting these files is that they don't want to give any cover to potential predators.
Mhm.
They want them to be brought to justice and
Right.
at least named.
Correct.
And we know the president has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. He's not been criminally charged. But
That's right.
coming back to haunt him, I mean, this is a man. He's been impeached twice. He has had more than his fair share of charges and trials, even before he was re-elected.
Mhm.
Why do you think this presents what some might be a straw that would break the MAGA camel back?
Well, I think you've already seen some people pulling away, like you wouldn't have ever imagined Marjorie Taylor Greene or even
No.
Thomas Massey pulling away like this. These were committed early MAGA people, right, who were very much with President Trump. And so I think this, if you go into any of these online groups or if you see how they talk about it, this is a foundational principle beyond Donald Trump, right? This is something that they will suck up anyone into this conspiracy. And some of it isn't a conspiracy. Obviously, terrible things happen with this
Hmm.
with Jeffrey Epstein. And so the question is, I don't know how he can declare that Reid Hoffman, for example, which seems it's not true,
Why do
right?
you
At this
think that?
point, that we because we don't have evidence of it. I think if there's evidence of that, if they had evidence, they should have been prosecuting them, say in the Trump administration or the Biden administration. And so, just like by declaring people, he's just saying, "Look over there." And I think when you start to do that, you have a real problem that it might sort of point to you. And he's also the president of the United States, right?
Hmm.
That's why people are so interested. If he was just anyone else, and if there are photos or videos that surface, which I can't imagine, there's always a video and a photo, Laura, in the new digital age, right? It could be really, it was already a problem with these emails that were just even, and these were by Jeffrey Epstein, who is either, you don't have to believe him necessarily, but it caused a lot of it forced this, right? If just words are going to force this, imagine if, some videos or photos surface of any of them. It's going to be, look,
Well, look at the
Larry
video.
Summers is out
Not
of a
video.
job.
That's true. He's
I'm
stepping
sorry.
back. But look at the idea of Trump being photographed with Epstein or
Correct.
Prince Andrew, for
Yeah.
that matter, with Virginia Giuffre.
Mhm.
I'm not suggesting that Prince Andrew somehow is innocent, but the photo did present the opportunity for people to
It did.
question what was going on. What you mentioned, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm really interested
Mhm.
because you're right. I didn't have it on my bingo card that Marjorie Taylor Greene and would be called a
No.
traitor by President Trump.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
what do you make of this sort of rebranding that she is hoping for?
You know on my recent book, I mean, my pivot tour we just had, I said, I feel like she's been visited by three ghosts overnight one night. It feels like a Scrooge-like
Oh my
change
goodness.
in a lot of ways. I know, it's funny. I don't know. I think this is, of course, at the heart, if it's the heart of this group in MAGA, she's at the heart of that. So I'm not surprised that she would be insistent on the Epstein files. The rest of it, I suspect she's looked at the polling, and what she was doing wasn't working, and linking herself. I do think she's genuine on this topic. I think she's genuine on affordability. The rest, I don't know, right? We'll wait and see what happens to her. But at this point, she sounds and feels like a Democrat, which seems odd. So that's how far it is with these people, right? That it really is. They're committed to this particular topic. And he has so many vulnerabilities here. And as you said, there's photo after photo after photo and mention
Mm.
after mention. He clearly had a strong relationship with this guy. I don't know how it ended or anything else, but it remains unclear. And so what has to happen is these files have to be released so we can see exactly what happened. And I don't even think we're going to get total clarity even after that.
Do you have concerns? Some people believe they're concerned that there'll be insufficient redactions. Others believe that there'll be too many redactions, particularly with an eye
Right.
towards
Well, that's
people who
always-
are named but not implicated and not being able to unring that bell of just the association of being in
Yeah.
this sick man's orbit. How do you think that's going
Right.
to play out?
Well, I think that look at Larry Summers, right? There's no indication he did anything wrong. He just got dating advice from Jeffrey Epstein, and that's
Yuck.
enough to have pulled him out of Harvard. He's not teaching in Harvard. That was just tonight. He had to come off the board of OpenAI. The affiliation alone is problematic. And so if there's stronger affiliation of exactly when Donald Trump, and again, it's because he's the president. He's like, why are they looking at me? I'm like, because you're the president. Like, you're not just anybody. You're the president of the United States, and you clearly had a significant relationship with this person at some point. And you could. They're the videos. They are hanging out. Like it's not a little relationship. It's a relationship, and even if he cut it off. And so I think Larry Summers is essentially finished at this point because of just emails. So that's why we'll see where it ends up, and I think we should all wait and see what the evidence. I'm always like, let's wait and see what the evidence.
Yeah.
And if they don't redact enough, it's the victims, the only people or possibly innocent people, right? That are the implications are harder for them. But at this point, I think because they drag their feet so much, a lot of this is just going to come out one way or the other.
The idea of people being finished as a result. There was an attempt to censor Delegate Stacey Plaskett. She got a lot of criticism for texting with Jeffrey Epstein while, by the way, questioning Michael Cohen at a congressional hearing. There was a vote to censor her. It did not pass.
Censure,
There's been a lot of conversations around this since that censure discussion. Do you think that this might infiltrate even into Congress and communications as well, or this is more the private sector that'll be impacted?
I don't know. I just don't know. It depends on the level. I mean, I think the Summers stuff was pretty surprising how what a close relationship they had after it ended right when he went to jail the second time, right? When he started to really be in real trouble. The first deal was a sweetheart deal, obviously. But I think I don't know. I just doesn't know how do people feel about people if they're just having a meeting with someone or texting. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I think it'll just depend on the public. But I think if there's significant indications that Trump's relationship continued with this guy after a certain amount of time, there's a real problem there, right? Obviously, for him after the first arrest, even the first what was it, an arrest? I don't know. Whatever the first plea
Or
he
the
did.
sweetheart deal or anything else. Well, then tell me, how do you think, given, and I'm going to use your analogy of Scrooge, we got the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future.
Yeah.
Democrats are looking to the future and the midterm. So are Republicans, but they know that they've got some albatrosses from what's happened in the past and possibly what's going on right now. So how should Democrats play this, and how should Republicans be playing this, given that there was almost unanimity in terms of getting this bill for transparency out there? And now they can say, listen, we've done all that we can right now. It's up to the president. He's now signed it. Now it's the DOJ. Well, we will let you know in 30 days, just by the way, before Christmas, to extend your analogy further.
Right.
How do they play it?
Right. I think let's just see where the evidence leads it, right? Let's see if they do what they say they're going to do, which is not play games. I mean, Pam Bondi just continues to play games like all the time. And meanwhile, what a mess up over with Lindsay Halligan. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of game playing. And she kept saying, we'll follow the law. I'm like, well, that would be great. It would be great over there and great over here. So it makes it feel they don't have credibility in that regard. I think that's what you were indicating. I think one of the things that's critical here, and I like to talk about digital, but this is a digital phenomena, the Epstein issues, and so there's going to be a lot of back and forth there, and it will have a lot more impact than that is what I'm really paying attention
But
to,
what do
is
you mean
where
by
the
that specifically, the
online
digital
conversation.
phenomena? What do you mean by
Well,
that?
how quickly these photos get around the world, how quickly the information gets around. And in this case, it started as a conspiracy theory, right? And then some of it's real. And so I
Mm.
think the power of digital is really going to spread this far. It used to be a very different way of getting information, and now it's easily available. And I think if she tries to redact too much or hide things or cover up or try to just focus on Democrats, I think someone will leak them. I think there's absolutely no question. And if we're a visual culture now because of online, right? We've always been a visual culture, but online, these photos rocket around the world and everybody sees them. If there's any kind of thing like that, I hold on for everybody, because I think it'll metastasize in a way that's probably both good and bad, I guess.
In some ways, it already has. Kara Swisher, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura.